On this week's episode, I'm joined by Diogo Moshu. And if you take a glance at Diogo's LinkedIn profile, you will see that he studied at Cambridge, he's a former pilot, and he studied through Harvard. And he's enthusiastic about disruptive technology. And right now, Diogo is involved in disruptive technology that is combating the COVID-19 pandemic. And we speak about that, but we also speak about why Portugal gives people the space to create, innovate, and collaborate. And we speak about why, for a guy who could work anywhere in the world, he chooses to stay right here in Portugal. Welcome back, or welcome to another episode of Portugal, The Simple Life. I'm here with Diogo Moshu. Diogo, am I saying it correctly?
Perfectly.
Awesome. Diogo, all the way from Lisbon, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
We're in the middle of a second wave in Europe with COVID. I was hoping by this time this year we would stop talking about COVID on the podcast, but it's still a conversation. I must say I'm feeling, looking at the stats, I'm feeling quite grateful that I'm in Portugal and not in other places in Europe. But how is everything in Lisbon?
Look, in Lisbon, I believe things are very well controlled at the moment. Even if we're going through a second wave, as the whole world is going through right now, I do believe that in Portugal, not just in Lisbon, but in Portugal, overall, we're doing a bunch of testing. We have the right infrastructures prepared to receive what is coming, and I really believe it's. Actually, you have the nice weather. You're in November and you still get some sun. And actually, even if there is COVID, which is all over the world, at least here you have a nice weather. You can just open the window and take a breath of fresh air and realize you are in a country that has less population. It's less dense in that way. And it's not so bad to be here. I would prefer to be here where I am standing right now in Lisbon than in other countries. So yes. And also the people here are respecting, from what I see, from my point of view, a lot of the rules that the health authorities are implementing. And that is a good sign, you know?
Yeah. We're going to get into you and your story and why you're here and everything. But start off by telling us a bit about you.
Hey, who am I? I'm Diogo, already introduced in the podcast. I'm 32 years old. I was born and raised here in Lisbon, although I've traveled quite a lot. Among other things, I've been a pilot of aircrafts, an airline pilot. But long story short, what I realized in my life when I was 25 actually, was, okay, I took this course, I became a pilot, but this is not the lifestyle I want. And more than the lifestyle, it's not going to have the impact I know I can achieve in other things. Those other things were exactly coming back to Portugal. I was a pilot in Amsterdam, actually. My base was in Schiphol. And I came back, so I just basically quit and against everything that your friends and family tell you to do. They all told you it's the stupidest thing you're going to do and you're going to regret it. Well, 5 or 6 years later, I don't regret it at all. I believe I'm making an impact. And for me, this is only the start. I came back and I dedicated myself to what I believed I was born to do, actually. Since I was a little kid, other kids liked football, soccer, they liked cars. I mean, I love motorcycles, but what I really loved when I was a kid was my superheroes were like Warren Buffett, and it was business. And I always had that keen eye on why is a business this way? How do they sell stuff? Why is this price and the competitor is the other price? So I guess that was my hobby, that was my passion, and it still is. So although I took a vastly difficult course, I came back to my roots, I would say, and I took on business. I made sure I had the right education on it, because I do believe you have to learn something prior than just starting yourself and launching yourself on the market. So I took an executive MBA that gave me all the bases of management and business administration. Then I went to apply to Harvard, and I took the negotiation mastery there. Not actually there, I had to take it online because at the time I was already working like crazy here in a multinational. So I had to do it online. It was tricky, it was difficult, but it was doable. As I always say, I think most of the things we have in front of us are actually achievable. So yeah, I took those bases. I went to work on several corporate large companies, and then I said, okay, this is step number 1 of the way, and now let's go and move on to step number 2. So approximately 3.5 years ago, 4 years, I would say, I dropped the corporate world and I came into the startup world. And I say this in like this because I mean, you do have some companies who are startups and identify as startups. I just believe in business, and I believe that once you create something and if you dedicate yourself to a specific product, even if it's hardware or software, it's still a product. And if you focus on what is this thing going to do and improve the life of the people who are going to use it, if you achieve that simple question, but a really hard work to achieve, you're going to have a great product. And if you're going to have a great product, people are going to buy it. So you're going to have a healthy business. I don't care if it's a corporate or a startup. If it's business, and that's what I do for a living right now. I evaluate tons of businesses. I have my own businesses. And that's it. I'm actually doing what I love, and I can do it right here from Lisbon, which is, I mean, a lot better than Amsterdam in terms of weather and food, and it's all a lot cheaper too. So,
the weather in the Netherlands and the food, everything is fried with mayonnaise, and we're lucky here. There's a few things that I want to ask you. You mentioned that you did the MBA. Was that through Cambridge?
No, actually in Cambridge, what I took at a very early age, I think I was too young to do it, was all the English language courses. So I went for the basic, the advanced, the proficiency, and so on. So I had the certificate. So we had to do a battery of tests here in Portugal. Then I went there for a summer, for 1 month or 3 weeks, I believe. We had the certification, and that was it. But all my life I've been certified over the English language because parallel to wanting to become successful in this area that I love, that is the business area, I also understand very soon that I had to have 2 hard skills. One was English and the other one was understand numbers. So yeah, I knew those were tools I had to get, so I went after it. That was it.
Good. I used to follow Schiphol on Instagram. They've got the most amazing Instagram account. It's so funny. They make jokes and everything. But that time that you spent there, I mean, what things did you miss? We spoke about weather and food, but what things did you miss about Portugal?
Honestly, the thing I missed the most was the same thing I missed in every other single city I went to. I don't want to brag here. I mean, I've traveled to all over the world, and I've seen beautiful, beautiful places and amazing people and amazing cuisine all over the world. But there was one thing I missed, and I haven't found it in any other developed country else. In Portugal, even if you don't have that much money with you, you can grab a couple of friends, sit down at a Tasca. Tasca is a very small restaurant, very friendly, family business. And you can eat magnificent stuff at so much reasonable prices. And you can do this on a daily basis. And this is what I don't get in any other city. And now let's just add on another variable that is the most important for me. For sure, you cannot get this in London, which is the capital. For sure, you cannot get this in Amsterdam, which is the capital. So here, I'm talking about doing this in Lisbon, the main city of a country, of an European country. You can do it, and you can afford it. So I really think that increases your quality of life. Look, when I was flying hours and hours and hours closed in a cockpit, if you come back, you park the plane and you grab an Uber or a taxi or your car and you go to your flat or to your house, that's it. That's pretty much it. Here, no. Here, even if you stay late, if you stay working a bit later until 7, whatever, you get out. Before you go to your house, you can stop with your friends and have a cold beer and have some snacks and you communicate and you socialize. And for me, that's one of the other things I've learned with all this traveling into the business world. If you don't have a human component with you, and if you don't have friends or family or people to support you and to talk about your problems and to hear about people's problems, that also helps, because when you're hearing about others' problems, you don't focus on your problems, and that's a good thing to have too. And here, Portugal, Lisbon, I can have that. So yeah, I would say that's one very big difference.
Yeah, and I mean, what are, besides what you've mentioned already, what are the things that you like so much about Lisbon and that keeps you in Lisbon?
Now I'm going to have to put the business into it. Not from an economic point of view, that's for sure. If I opened the same business in Silicon Valley, I would probably have raised 120 times more money than I have in my lifetime. But the thing is, what really puts me here in Lisbon is I'm seeing so much evolution, and I'm seeing so many young people coming after me and calling and sending emails and approaching via LinkedIn, and I'm seeing this movement grow. I'm seeing this young generation coming out of college and saying, I don't want to go work for others. I want to work for myself and having an impact, and with that impact, achieving a healthy business or a startup or whatever. And I really don't want to miss that. So I really want to be here and be part of that, be an effective part of that, not from a distance in other countries. I mean, that's the main reason that keeps me here for now.
You've got the Web Summit happening there. You've got incubators. It's the startup capital of Europe. My cousin, actually, he was originally working out of Toronto in Canada, and now he's in Lisbon because there is just this movement and a lot of exciting things happening there.
Without a doubt, yeah. Web Summit is a fine example of that, but you have many, many others that are, I mean, not in 2020 for obvious reasons, but in 2019 you had tons of events that were in other locations worldwide, and they just concentrated here in Lisbon and also in Porto. Porto is in the north, as you know, and Porto is also a great city, very developed, and if having one city that is already developed and with this kind of movement growing, having Porto has amazing entrepreneurs, amazing startups also, so having two cities, even better, right? So really great, yeah.
Yeah, there's something that I love about what you said, because you're this guy, you studied at Cambridge, you've been living in Amsterdam, flying planes, Harvard, startups, technology, all these things, and you speak about a Tasca, an old-fashioned family Tasca. For people that are listening, a Tasca is like a diner. It's like an old-fashioned Portuguese restaurant, usually run by a family, where you just go and sit there for hours and eat and take your time. Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome that we have this old-fashioned link, this link to old ways in even in a place like Lisbon that's so thriving, but we still go and we sit at our traditional restaurants and eat the way we should and take time to have lunch and to talk. It's a beautiful way of life that I hope we don't lose.
Yeah, definitely. That's one of the main reasons that we need to control this COVID situation, even if it's via vaccine or via equipment that allows to return to the normal. I really hope it goes soon as soon as possible, because for me, and you were saying exactly that, a guy like you, Diogo, you've been here, there, you work with technology, and you still have that very basic likability for taskas, for those small diners. Yeah, I do, because for me, I don't know for other entrepreneurs, but for me, if you lose the human side, if you lose the human touch, forget about technology. I mean, for me, the technology evolves more when you're reaching for that human connection. And if you work towards that, technology is going to be the greatest thing that ever happens to us. If you work further away from there, not the kind of businesses I like to handle. I love technology. I love its applicabilities, but don't forget the human side, please. Open more tasks everywhere, you know?
Oh man, I love that. That gave me a arrepiados. That gave me goosebumps. Yeah, I agree with you. Technology to aid human contact, not to minimize it, is I think something that's still important for us. I mean, Diogo, let's jump into about the machine. You mentioned technology that's going to help us with COVID. Just explain a little bit about you, your company, what you do, and then how that sort of led into the the production or the coming about of this machine that helps with COVID.
Okay, great. So I'm going to try to summarize it because it's no big deal to explain the technology behind it actually. But first of all, the project started with a phone call from Jose and Tosha. Tosha is actually one of my oldest friends, and we kind of went sideways in terms of career. But then once I came back to the business world, our ways converged again, and so Jose and Tosha, they're in charge of All is Equal Way. All is Equal Way is actually a startup community that has invested already in more than 35 companies, not just startups, also solid businesses. So, but they're a very interesting community because they invest in a very early stage, and they don't invest just money. That's why I usually. If you say $1 is the same as $1 from a guy that is also helping you, it's not the same. So if so also besides investing, they also help you a lot. They go to your business model. They make sure they really are there for you when you need them. So I knew the community very well. We had other projects going on, and as Tosha was one of my best friends, they call me and say, "Hey man, we know you love challenges, and you've done 1,000 things. So what do you think about these tunnels to disinfect people?" And I was like, that might be the craziest idea I've ever heard, and that's why I love it. So let's do this. And so then I came. We sat down, and there were a couple of things that the three of us determined had to be essential. Let's not take advantage of the situation with the COVID-19. Let's not promote something that it isn't. Let's make sure that we have fundamental research done. Let's make sure that even after our own research, we take this and go to the scientists, the top scientists in Lisbon. And by the way, if we can, let's test these things with the real virus, okay? So it was, as I say, a long way in a very short time. Because we were actually running against time. More people were getting infected, more people were dying, more businesses were closing their doors, more companies were saying to their employees, look, we don't have another option, you have to go to your place. And the three of us, we sat down and we talked, look, we have know-how in technology. We have tons of know-how in production, in massive scales, because Tosha lived in China, Tosha has huge connections in China. So we have a huge network of companies in our portfolio. How can we help? And that's how we came up with Safeway. Safeway, the name says it all actually, has two main pillars that we, the three of us, define must be at all times completed or concluded, that are, number one, our products must be safe to use, okay? And our guidelines must be the most precise we can get so that people don't misuse the product. And number two, it needs to be efficient. It needs to kill the coronavirus, inactivate it. We don't care how, we don't care how many hours we're going to lose of sleep, but it's got to be done this way. Otherwise, look, I'm not a bragger, not to brag or anything, but not me, not Tosha, not Jose would put the reputation we already had in line without these two pillars being set. So what did we do? We designed 3 products. Actually, in the beginning, it was only 2. The main product we have, it's the premium product, is the Safeway Cabin. What is the Safeway Cabin? Very summarized. You approach this machine, which is open from one end to the other. It only has some plastic separating the chamber area. I'm going to do that in a bit. So you approach it, without touching anything. You just approach your forehead to where it points and says, put your forehead in here. You have an infrared that measures your temperature, and you don't touch anything. If you have a high temperature, it will have an oral warning and a visual warning saying, stop, don't come to the other side. You have a fever, you have a high temperature, please go and have a test or something like that. Do not enter, basically. Assuming everything is okay, second step, also I was pointing to it, just below the temperature measurement, you have an automatic dispenser of alcohol gel. So you disinfect your hands. You don't touch it also, like the ones you're seeing in the street. A lot of them you have to touch a button, which is counterproductive. So just put your hands below it, drops 2 milliliters of alcohol gel, and you're good to go into the chamber. The chamber, it's actually an open space, just with plastic divisions, that micropulverizes ozonated water, okay? And there's a very huge difference between ozone, the gas, and ozonated water. Ozonated water, it's water that contains very small amounts of ozone below the levels that are considered dangerous for the human health. But that very small amount allows to disinfect not only your body, but your clothes and everything you have on you. We all have this with us all the time, right? If you pass with this on your hand to the chamber, also disinfected, which is something that the masks don't avoid, and which is something that the alcohol gel per se doesn't avoid. So you go to the chamber and you're fully disinfected, okay? You get out. All this process is done in about 10 seconds, since the moment you measure your temperature to the moment you leave the chamber. So that's our premium product. Let's call it let's put it that way. It's called the Safeway cabin. You have other disinfection tunnels, as they call it, but I haven't seen other that uses ozone. I mean, I have seen one other that uses ozonated water, but it's not the same technology, and they have these huge deposits and they use oxygen bottles, so it's not the same thing.
Okay.
And the main difference, and it's interesting for people that are listening, if they get interested with this kind of technology, what we've achieved is our cabin and tunnel systems, which the tunnel I'm going to explain a bit later, only use water and electricity.
Wow. Every
single other device that's around, every single other equipment that you will see, that it's not from Safeway, obviously, will ask you to buy a separate liquid, a separate disinfectant. So remember when we started the conversation, I told you that I like to employ technology to help and not to, oh, here's the printer. Now, by the way, you have to pay me the cartridges every week. Sorry, that's not, like I said, we're not going to put our reputation in line for some business like that, you know, because we studied our competition really hard. And one of the things I found among the competitors was they will sell you the tunnel, and then they sell you this liquid that first, you have economic reasons, obviously. Maybe second, because first, you have another thing that worries me a lot. They would come up with these names, with these scientific names for hypochlorous acid. Yeah, that's actually what you use to clean your floor at your house. I don't want that sprinkled over my face or my hands or my clothes. It's bleed, actually. So others would use peroxide, we call it. I mean,
anything with chemicals, and you're asking for trouble. So this only uses water and electricity.
Yeah, that's the thing, because our technology,
Super.
what we develop and design, it's an electrolysis process that's actually just filled it with water. It comes with a tank. You fill it with water. Then you have two electrodes, and they just spark the energy. And there's a process that I won't get into too much detail, but it just produces the right amount of ozone in the water, therefore becoming ozonated water. And then a lot of people ask, oh, I'm going to get wet once I pass. No. It's just vapor. So not only you don't get wet, as the vapor allows to go and penetrate in all the areas that are exposed to it, which is great. So everything is disinfected and out of the way, you're good to go.
If you're a little bit wet, but you don't have COVID, that's also okay.
But here you are completely dry.
Yeah.
So it's a good difference. The other product we have, it's the same system as the cabin, But once we started selling the cabin, a lot of clients started asking us, can you make it bigger? And by the way, I don't need it in premium materials because it's to put outside of the supermarket. So we thought, yeah, we can make it. Let's go. Another challenge, another day at the office. So yeah, we just built a tunnel, which has a plastic frame. So it's not an aluminium premium frame as the cabin. It's a bit cheaper also because of that. It's a retractable tunnel. So they gave us a challenge and we think a little bit ahead and made it retractable so you can just store it away once you're not using it. And it's a lot wider. And by being wider, it allows, wider and bigger also in general, it allows for more than one person at a time. So it allows for 2-3 people to come at the same time, still respecting the distance that the health authorities designated.
Okay, and then it's portable, so you can use it for events, for things like that as well.
That's the idea behind it. Imagine that you have a concert, any sport event, you just use it once. So, like I said also in the beginning, we were trying to achieve something that would bring things back to normal as possible, okay? The other main advantage of this tunnel, it's wider, so you can actually pass with your shopping cart and everything that goes on it is also disinfected, which we think it's great.
None of the men in the world are going to thank you for that. The advantage with COVID was that people had to go with baskets. Now our wives can go back with their trolleys again. I mean, so no, I'm not thanking you for that one.
Great.
Okay,
and then we thought a bit deeper into all this ozonated water thing because we didn't want to use the ozone gas. You cannot use the gas on people, but we do have a product that uses the gas. And it's actually the best seller right now. And we've made the headlines on the news the past week. It's a portable ozone generator. And if you ask me, look, Diogo, did you innovate there? Not really. There were other ozone generators in the market for the last 10 or 15 years. So why is yours better? Well, ours was the first, as far as I know, in the world to be tested with the real virus. We didn't use something similar. We didn't do theoretical thesis about it. We asked the Center of COVID-19 tests from the Faculty of Sciences of the University of Lisbon. We called them, we sat down with them and we said, look, guys, we know you're one of the only authorized institutions in the country at the time to manipulate the virus, to use the real thing. Can you please use it on our device? And they said, yeah, let's do it. We're really curious because if it's okay, if it's good, of course, we want to be involved. So they tested it, 98% inactivation rate of the COVID-19. So everyone's talking about the vaccines, which I think it's great, by the way. I'm not anti-vaccine anyway. But look, the vaccine is one thing. Use your mask, use your alcohol gel. But what about once everyone leaves the office? What happens? The cleaning ladies come in, they clean the space, they go out. In the morning, the first person comes, opens the office. What if someone left, sorry for the simple expression, but what if someone left the virus behind? What if it's in the surfaces? No, because even if you clean everything, you're still a human being, and human beings won't clean every single corner. Like you have a lot of products that use UV light. Yeah, UV light is great, but what if it has something in front of it? Well, it's a light, so in the areas where there is shade, it's not applying anything, right? So it's not as efficient. So what could solve this? Simple, a gas. How do we do this with a gas? Well, first of all, even before selling anything, tell people do not be in the space while using this device. No people should be allowed because it's not going to be good. It's going to be harmful for your respiratory tract, for your nose, for if you have asthma or whatever. So, I mean, you're not going to die being exposed one or 2 seconds, but still, no one is allowed during the disinfection. So what we've created is a device that inactivates the virus by 98%, which is, I think, a very good result. Better would be 100, but hey.
98's good, 98's good.
We're on it. And what we've developed is like the double effect. Imagine you have a corporate company. On the entrance, you have the cabin. And every night when everyone's out of the office, you turn it on, you leave the office, it automatically shuts off. It's not on for a very long time. It's we're talking about half an hour tops for huge spaces. For a small room, it's less than 5 minutes. After that, you just have to wait that the gas disappears and goes back to the surrounding air. So we actually advise people to measure the air quality, which is always great. For most companies already do it. And when everything's okay, you come back. So for instance, if you disinfect an hotel room with this device, what we've done and what we've brought to the table is, look, with all the COVID-19 situations, you have a guest and then you have to wait 24 hours for another guest to come in, right? Because you have to clean, you have to disinfect, you have to do a lot more procedures than you were doing prior to this. With the Safeway Places, which is actually the small device we have, it's portable, it weighs less than 5 kilograms, and it's smaller than a big bottle of water, you know. So it's just a small black box like this. It's a Safeway, and it's plug and play. You just plug it, you set the timer, and you leave. After that, you wait in an hotel room about 1 hour, 1 hour and a half. You remove the device. Next guest, you can come in now. So what we've done is actually, like I said in the beginning, we propose ourselves to bring stuff to the market that would help us all return to the new normal. There it is. Okay. So basically, those are our 3 products as of today. We're working on more stuff. But yeah, we really like ozone. We studied it very, very much, and we actually think it's the best agent around. Because, by the way, I didn't talk much about the ozone itself, but if you check all our literature on our website, etc., ozone, and it's not Safeway that's saying this. Ozone has been being studied for the last century, you know, and the World Health Organization says, look, it's dangerous, don't take it as a gas, but by the way, it's 3,200 times faster than other disinfectants to act on virus and bacteria. So the only small step that needed to be changed was the application, how we were applying the ozone, and that's what Safeway is trying to do, and that's what we brought to the market.
Okay, so to narrow it down, I mean, the smaller machine, I think, is the one that I saw on the news, which is how you and I got in touch, and that is just, you pop it in the room, you close the door, leave it for an hour, and
actually it's less than an hour, but yeah, actually it is.
Okay, and then you can come back, use the room, and it's 98% disinfected.
Yeah, exactly. 98 disinfectant, not just against the SARS-CoV-2, which is the COVID-19 disease, but a lot of other viruses too. But still, of course, we are living the COVID-19 times, and we want to incide on that. So
I mean, we can expect to use this. I mean, this thing can be used in restaurants, offices, hotels. If you have a little Airbnb somewhere, I mean, it's just really, really helpful.
Yeah, rent-a-cars are using it too. So you have rent-a-cars, public transportation, you name it. I mean, this has a huge ways of application. So you name it.
Has this gone to market yet?
Yeah. We are on the market. The thing is, we're selling a lot more to other countries also. But right now in Portugal, as we speak, the sales are really healthy too. You know, so I mean, like I said, we want to help, and it's great that the businesses are adhering, because, by the way, we sell this and it's not even us selling. We partnered with Altice Empresas. Altice, it's a big player, and they have a huge reach, and that's what we made a partnership with them, and they are selling our solution all over the country. So yeah, things are starting to build up now, and I think people are now starting to understand what these 3 guys have made. And yeah, I mean, not made, founded, because we're a team than more than 3 guys, but still.
Yeah, I mean, I think with this pandemic, everybody was hoping it would be over by now. We were probably a little bit naive to think it would all be over by now, it's not going to be over for a while. I think people are also nervous about a vaccine because we don't know what the side effects are going to be, what that entails, how soon it's going to be available. And what I see happening in Portugal a lot is we're just trying to find ways to live with this pandemic, to live and without sacrificing our way of life, without sacrificing socializing and community and these things. What is your opinion on how Portugal is dealing with this in terms of tech, in terms of industry? What do you see happening?
Okay, I'm going to be very honest about this one. I think that businesses, again, and that's for me one of the main qualities of the business side in Portugal. People, from night to day, they just change everything in their business. They all of a sudden you had those taskas, as we talked about, that were small diners managed by families. All of a sudden, it's like they had a whole course of COVID-19, which was amazing. You got there, you had people that measured your temperature, you had tables disinfected, you had the separation. So I think it's huge. I think it's great that one country can change overnight and actually apply the measures. So I think in that sense, I think the population has to be congratulated about what they've done and the way they've done it. And by the way, by doing that, they knew that by doing that, their restaurants could only take 50% of the customers. So by doing that, it's by itself very impressive. But by doing that, by knowing that applying that would cut your sales in 50% at least, it's even more impressive. So I think we should congratulate all the small businesses in Portugal, all the companies, and I think we reacted overnight, and that's one of the characteristics of these people that I love, honestly. Again, I don't want to brag. I hate bragging, but it is one of the characteristics I do love about these people.
Diogo, we are allowed to brag on this podcast about Portugal, of course. So, you're exposed to a lot of what's happening everywhere else in the world. Myself as well. And you're speaking about how we've handled this and how we've handled this as a country. I think it surprised a lot of people. I think people have been surprised with how quickly Portugal has reacted and how quickly people have adapted. I think it's part of the DNA in our country. But what makes you proud? What makes you proud in your part and where you're seeing things happen, especially at a tech level and in industry and a business? What makes you proud of Portugal?
The thing I'm really most proud about is, if you look at 50 years back in time in the history of Portugal, we weren't that developed. We had a dictatorship that lasted until 1974. Okay? And I do think we are a case study on that level. If you put the datum, the 0 day in 1974, what we have achieved. I was born in 1988, and by 1996, 1997, the top corporate companies in the world were already in Portugal. And they weren't here with 1 or 2 people. They were here with 100 people, with 200 people, with 300 big offices. So for those who say that the country is small, look, it is small, but it's a piece of heaven, because even the big ones, the big players are here. You have everything in this country. Everything you have in America, as of today, 2020, you have it here. Everything you have in Japan, you have it here. And then, but this is not what I'm most proud about. These are all conditions. What I'm most proud about is the new generation that is coming, that is taking over. They understand this. So they're not forgetting any roots. They're not forgetting their grandfathers and grandmothers that worked hard on other professions, agriculture professions. They don't forget it, and they want to improve it, and they want to have an impact, and they don't want to leave. well, in this country, we all like to go, the ones who can and the ones who are able to go and study abroad, to go and open a startup abroad. But we always come back. And that's what I'm most proud about. You come back and you make the big impact here. And like we were talking, I do believe the Portuguese people have this very specific characteristic of, we are doers. Overnight, people ask you to do something and you do it. We like to complain a lot. If you ask him how he is, he will tell you everything is fine. But then if you reinforce that question and you ask him, no, but really, how are you? He will start telling you all the problems in his life and how he would enjoy to have a better job, blah, blah, blah. But it's all blah, 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 because in the end, if you ask a Portuguese to do something, he will do it. I think it's the kind of mindset we were raised with. And that's great, actually. I mean, it's like you have all the qualities of a southern country, the sun, the food, the low price, but you don't have that laziness that normally goes with it, that it's not lazy, it's more relaxed, but too relaxed becomes lazy. So here in Portugal, I think you have the right balance. And that's what I'm most proud about. It's the balance that you can find here.
Well, you came back. You mentioned we always come, that they always come back. They come back to you. Did that. You could have been anywhere in the world right now.
I can be anywhere in the world if I want to right now.
And you came back?
No, not only did I come back, as of today, even with my businesses here, they are tech businesses. So I could be anywhere else in the world, working remotely. And I'm still here, and I don't think I'm leaving anytime soon. So, yeah.
Beautiful. What do you see happening now? We've got to find a way to live with this. What do you see as the way that we're going to handle our future? And what do you see coming out of Portugal in the next while?
Very good question, actually. I do believe that the next wave of technology, or not just technology, it's going to come out of Portugal, the very next wave of innovation, and where we are going to hit it big, it's on science and research, and mainly in the health areas. Why am I saying this? Portugal used to have, I'm talking about the newest generations, a lot of engineers, a lot of people from business and management, a lot of doctors, a lot of lawyers. But now I'm seeing these younger generations really focusing on science, applying and aligning science with technology. So, and all in areas of research, of medical research. So I do believe that Portugal is going to come up very soon with something huge in that area. Everyone is talking about the COVID-19 vaccine. I was just reading prior to this podcast an article saying that some young people in the north of the country are developing some kind of vaccine also. So, if few resources, these people can do it, just give them more resources and let them fly, But yeah, I may be wrong, but I think Portugal is going to be in the next wave of innovation and of technology and of scientific research.
It was high school students that came up with that app for the beaches. There was just
exactly just finished high school, I think, and yeah, that's it.
This is the thing that does surprise people is our creativity. And I think there's more to it. And I think you and I are lucky because we've seen this now at the ground level. We see it happening all around us. But I think it is something that surprises people about Portugal. But there's so many things that bring this all together. And one of the things is that I always keep seeing is the spirit of teamwork, collaboration, which always helps with creativity. It always helps with innovation. You mentioned Altus are helping with the Safeway machine. You mentioned Jose and Tosha a couple of times. Why do we collaborate so well in this country? Why is there this teamwork?
Like I said, we are doers, and like I said, we are also fast with. When problems come our way, like the COVID-19 for restaurants and hotels, they had to change overnight. And one thing you learn when you start having that mindset of being more a doer and less a talker is that you're going to need help. Okay, and this is one of the main lessons I've learned really early in life. I mean, you want to be the best at something, get together with the best and emulate their behavior and their knowledge, and eventually you're going to be the best. And I think the Portuguese understand this very well. Like, if you want to, I mean, if you have a restaurant, a tasca, for instance, and you have 2 employees and their job is to clean the floor, but if there's no floor to be cleaned and everyone else is cleaning the windows, I'm pretty sure they will pick up stuff and start cleaning windows. Okay? And this is the kind of attitude. I mean, like I said, if you have the doer mindset, somewhere in life you're going to understand that you cannot achieve anything by yourself. And by that you need to cooperate and to collaborate. So yeah, this kind of project, for instance, Safeway, was actually the idea of Tosha and Jose, but they called me. So it's not even my idea, you know, on the start. But now you ask for, oh, but this product and the other product and the way you're putting yourselves in the market. Yeah, that was me also. But with Tosha and Jose, so we talk, the 3 of us, we always talk. We get together a lot of times. We have tons of calls to discuss mainly everything. I mean, I used to work with them also before in helping them to understand some, to evaluate some startups, to hear some pitches of startups. So yeah, I mean, the real question here is why not cooperate? You know, I mean,
that's the right question, actually. But you know, sometimes common sense doesn't always prevail. Diogo, we need to give Tosha and Jose a shout out. Jose connected us, and you said their names a couple of times. So hey, Tosha and Jose, if you're listening, keep up the good work and keep doing amazing things. But the other thing that's kept coming up in our conversation, and we're just going to simplify it here a little bit, Diogo. You keep talking about tashkas. Are you hungry? Are you hungry?
Not really.
No one's ever hungry in Portugal. We never get hungry. But tell me, you got a guy. Let's talk about a guy from Silicon Valley. He's popping into Lisbon for the day. What are you going to take him to eat? What are you going to feed him at one of your tashkas?
Okay, first of all, I'm going to get out of the center of Lisbon. I'm gonna take him right to the south of Lisbon, so you cross the bridge, and I'm gonna take him to this small fisherman's village that is called Trafaria, and I'm gonna sit him down in a real tasca, but with fish that was just caught, and it's still live, you know, and there he's gonna taste the real Portugal. So he's gonna have amazing fish, and if he has a couple extra days, I will take him to Alentejo, which is the interior of Portugal, further away from beaches. There are no beaches in Alentejo, and he's gonna taste the best meat he's ever had. I guarantee you, or at least one of the best. And obviously, for those listeners who enjoy their wine, I mean, come on. What other country do you have in the world that have this quality of wine for less than 6 or 7 euros? Come on.
And everywhere. We don't have one wine region. We have good wine from north to south. My favorite's from the Alentejo. My favorite wine is Alentejo wine. But we're lucky. It's good everywhere.
Yeah, definitely.
Good. So we'll have to do a tashka sometime, Diogo, next time I'm in Lisbon.
That's a good.
Yeah. Let's start wrapping it up. You're a busy guy with all these machines and everything, but Diogo, 3 things that you want people to remember and take away from this conversation.
Okay. First thing, never give up. Second thing, don't lose your hope. Everything's going to be okay. And third thing, be more proud of being Portuguese.
I love it. Short and sweet. It's good. How can people find you? How can people find you online and follow what you're up to?
Okay, so although I have no social networks because I abolished that from my life 2 years ago, I still have one so that people can keep in touch and contact me. And feel free to do so if you have any interest in talking with me, discussing anything. It's via my LinkedIn. So you just go to LinkedIn, you search for Diogo Moshu, and you'll find me.
Wonderful.
Just send me a message. That's it.
Cool. We'll put a link in the show notes of the podcast, and people can get in touch with you. Diogo, a question that we ask all of our guests. Portugal, the simple life, why?
Why not? How can it not be the simple life in Portugal? I think anything else that I say, it's unnecessary. I mean, great food, great weather. I mean, we have more than almost some years we have 200 and many days of sun per year. Amazing people. Honestly, get to know the people, and you're gonna see we have amazing people, hardworking people, amazing conditions to open up your businesses, to invest, I mean, the reason is Portugal the simple life because it's the right balance between work and your personal life. For me, that's what I find here the best attribute of this region.
Thank you very much. Diogo, we will meet each other in person soon in a Tasca. Maybe the Tasca will be disinfected by one of the machines that you guys are creating. That'll be great. And lunch is on me, and a good glass of Alentejo wine as well. So thank you so much for your time. And for now, Diogo, I'm going to let you call it.
All right, that's a wrap.
So thank you once again to Diogo, and thank you to all of you for listening. Please subscribe, share with your friends, give us a thumbs up, and please leave a comment or a review. We'd love to hear from you. And as we say in Portugal, força. Welcome to the simple life.